I don't know if this is a tradition, but we use bidets back home. Like, you know.
How did you feel coming here and looking in the toilet and there's no hose or bidet?
Oh, that was...
When people are dancing like in cowboy boots and cowboy hats, it just looks like it looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
It's something that it's an acquired taste maybe.
I don't understand the concept of acquired taste, but okay. Do you like country music?
No, I don't. And second,
are you referring to the spice level?
yeah, that's true. You know, it's not spicy at all. Like I always told the how to say the Coke word, something like that. Like to add more extra spicy, but it's not spicy at all.
Hi everyone, my name is Moiz. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a senior majoring in economics. I'm from Pakistan. I'm an international student here. I speak Urdu, which is like the national language back home. It's very similar to Hindi, so I can kind of speak Hindi as well, but I can't read or write it. And I don't have an American name because I feel like Moiz is...
It's very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah, so I feel like the first interaction that I have with someone, it's not clothing because I feel like it's kind of similar to how Americans dress, but it's more to do with the accent because obviously it's a different accent. And if I'm having conversation with someone for the first time, the first thing they'll notice is the accent and they'll be like, oh, where are you from? And then it's followed by a set of questions that I almost have memorized at the back of my head, which is totally fine. And so it's always like, where are you from? Why UW Madison? And, you know, that kind of question. So I feel like it's much different than how an average American would have his first conversation with someone. Yeah. But of course, there's people who don't ask right away, and they want to first just talk about what they're talking about and then like ask later. So I would say the first interaction, the first type is what is most different from like the average person over here. Yeah.
Do people make a lot of assumptions?
And I feel like it's hard for them to guess where I'm from. I don't know why, but when I tell them Pakistan, they assume Pakistan is in the Middle East and we speak Arabic. But that's obviously not true. It's in South Asia and we speak Urdu. But yeah, being in the Middle East and being Arabic are like the assumptions they make.
Right. I think that's more American student ignorance than it is maybe a lack of understanding for the culture. Maybe the fact that geography, if for people who don't know this, geography is not a widely taught subject at the high school level in America. And so there are a lot of students, especially given that the United States doesn't have a nationalized education system, there may be schools that are more centralized to like bigger cities that may teach it, and then maybe schools in the South or schools in the Midwest that don't. So hopefully that is not something that continues on campus. I actually just took the campus climate survey today, and it was asking like what are ways that you have experienced or known of people to be disrespected on campus, and so I'm really hoping that doesn't continue. People don't assume where you're from. It's definitely more respectful to ask, in my opinion, than to make the false assumption, because you never want to be wrong, number one, but you also don't want to make an assumption that is disrespectful without realizing it.
Yeah, I think this is like a call for like local and American students to kind of like not be afraid of asking.
Have you ever had someone, because I know you're an international student too, have you ever had someone incorrectly assume where you're from?
Multiple times. I do think I look sort of like racially ambiguous, so people can't immediately tell where I'm from, and people never really get it correct unless they come from my country or like they have friends who, you know, they learn things about and they could see me kind of like having those like markers, similar markers. But yeah, I mean here, I guess it's different for every international student, and it also depends on how you look. People, most of the time, people here think I'm American, and I speak Spanish, which is
I can see that.
Yeah, I feel like even for me, I've had someone ask me if I'm from Mexico, or someone starts speaking to me in Spanish, and I'm Just like
Okay, as an American, I'm very sad about that. Like, that makes me sad. Like, I don't know why we're assuming where people are from. That's just so rude.
I mean, it's I understand it. It's like, for me, like, I'm not very much offended by it because I feel like even I couldn't tell, like, you know, you can never make assumptions, but even I have the challenge of, like, telling where people are from just by looking at them. Because you never really know. Like, somebody could look Japanese but grow up in, like, a totally different country.
Yeah.
So it's like, assumptions are just something that you just happen to do naturally or, like, by instinct or, like, impulsively, but...
Yeah, I feel like I've never been offended as well, because it's not that everyone assumes where you're from. There's only some people. And, I mean, it's college. I feel like people are learning, making mistakes, and as long as they're learning from them, it's okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
a
never
great
take
way
it
to think
personally.
about it.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better, just personally, knowing that maybe the international students, I will never want to make that assumption, but it makes me feel better knowing that it is okay to ask as opposed to making that assumption.
For sure.
Would you ever be
For
upset
sure.
with somebody, either one of you, who was asking where you're from? Or would you do you prefer that they ask?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, if someone is talking to me in Pakistan and they have different accent, I would be really curious where they're from. So it's okay as long as you're not making that the whole subject of the conversation.
Right.
Yeah, I'll talk about friendships. Freshman year, I was in the freshman dorms, and honestly, my roommate was really nice. Everyone on the floor was really nice. I had a very good time. Made some good friends that I'm still in touch with. But outside the dorms, I feel like there were obviously people who weren't, exposed to meeting someone from outside Wisconsin or outside the U.S. or from someone from the East even. So I feel like they're a little confused. I don't blame them for this, obviously.
Right.
They're a bit confused on how to talk to someone, what kind of conversations to make with them. But obviously there's people who are curious about the world and they're in touch with world politics and what's going on the other side of the world, or just curious to learn more about new people. And I feel like those are kind of people I really got along with and, made some good friendships. Other international students as well, especially the ones from India, because India and Pakistan are neighbors. There's some hostility going on, but obviously we look the same, we speak the same language, and we're bound to get along. Not just Indians, like all other international students, I feel like we have a pretty good community. There's a Pakistani Students Association.
Are you an active member?
Yes, I'm a board member this year. So
Oh, congrats.
yeah, thanks. We're looking to grow the community, and at all our events we always have Pakistani food. We have people from our community, students, postgrad students.
That's so cool.
If you don't mind me asking, is PSA like a good mix of like Pakistani Americans and students from Pakistan?
Yes, I feel like it's a good mix. It's not dominant from either side, I feel like. Especially after this year, because there's a lot of freshmen who just came in and even postgrad students. So it's a good mix. But even the American Pakistanis there, I feel like they're very in touch with their Pakistani roots because their parents migrated here. So
Right.
even hanging out with them doesn't feel like they're American or anything. It feels like,
That sounds amazing.
yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Because I do notice, like, because I'm kind of like curious about like the dynamics between within different internationals, not just international, but also like multicultural student orgs. I'm just kind of like curious how the balance is between like American members and non-American members, because there is quite like some like difference that is worth investigating and like discussing, but we're not talking about that today. Maybe we could put together a different episode.
That is
hopefully.
a good idea for an episode.
I don't know if this is a tradition, but we use bidets back home. Like,
How did you feel coming here and looking in the toilet and there's no hose or bidet?
Oh, that was...
Well, and I know that American restrooms have cracks in the doors, and that's not something that happens universally. Like in other countries,
I was
they
so
don't
pissed
have
off.
cracks in the doors.
I was pissed off. I was like, what the fuck, America? What is wrong with y'all?
supposedly
Yeah.
it's for safety. It's like in the event of an emergency or getting locked in like a child, or in the event of a possible
Okay.
sexual assault, someone can get in the door. But if you're not from America and you didn't grow up thinking that was normal, other
Yeah.
countries don't have cracks in their bathroom stalls.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
installed like a bidet?
I didn't. I still haven't installed one, but something I just use like this.
Oh, like water holder,
yeah,
like
yeah, I
a
have this,
basin?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That gets the job done.
Right,
But yeah, I feel like that was a big one.
for sure.
Are there any kind of Americanisms that you feel like you might take back to Pakistan with you?
I feel like Americans are very on time.
Really?
Yes.
I find
As-
Americans to be very tardy.
Oh, you don't know Pakistanis then.
Oh, okay.
But it's not really a tradition. But yeah, that's something I feel like I've improved while I've been here.
Awesome.
Also, I feel like my intensity, my tolerance to spice has gone down.
Same.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
It's a bad thing.
I'm gonna have that
You're
for a
gonna
while.
suffer when you come back home.
Do you think that's
Yeah.
because of the lack of access to the more intense spices here, or do you think your palate's just weakening in general?
No, it's just how the food is here, and there's obviously the spicier food as well, but I mean less of that. There's only like Indian, Pakistani restaurants that have that kind of spice level, or even Chinese restaurants. But just generally, like most of them are American or like catered to the American spice level, so we don't usually. It's dying down slowly.
Because so you're saying
Tolerance.
American spices are very like wimpy in comparison to Pakistani spices, but that's
I-
probably true though. Americans have a very
yeah.
little tolerance for spice in general.
Yeah. and,
What's your favorite restaurant here then? If you want to like recommend any to
Are there any good
the
places to
audience.
get Pakistani food in
okay,
Madison?
Yeah, I actually just discovered one. I've been to a few. There's a few on campus. There's Madison. It's actually by someone from Karachi.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's good. There's Maharani. It's an Indian restaurant. Mirch Masala is on State Street. But if you want some really good food and you have a car or you're looking to get away a little bit, I think it's like a 15-minute drive max from the campus. There's this place called Karai and Barbecues. Karai is like it's a dish.
Would you mind spelling that?
Karahi.
You're making her hungry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Continue. KHAR.
Karahi.
Okay.
But that's a really good place. It's very authentic. I feel like I went there last weekend.
Okay.
Great.
I want to tell you guys that this show is a great initiative. I feel like,
Thank you.
we really needed like a show for the Badgers. So I really enjoyed being here. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
thank you so much
thanks for
for
coming.
volunteering to speak. We really appreciate your voice. I feel like this is going to be the third episode of our show, and I feel like international student stories and experiences should be like one of the first things we talk about, because everybody has a lot to share.
And every international student experience is different because
Very
we're all
different.
coming from different places. Even though
Yeah.
I'm not a national student, every college student experience is
Right.
different. I
For
mean, even
sure.
for the American students, I know if you come from Wisconsin or outside of the state of Wisconsin, it's super different.
Yeah.
It's that same, like you were talking about, that hometown feeling earlier. So if you were to have gone to college in Pakistan, I'm sure you'd have felt a lot more like that sense of comfort from being at home as opposed to going somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah,
we were
thank
so
you.
excited to have you.
Of
Yeah,
course.
we're excited to see how the whole 2-part episode ends up, because it's going to be big.
It's going to be a long one.
It's going to be a very long one. So yeah, thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Hello, my name is Nishant. I'm a PhD student here. I've been in Madison for 3 years. I'm from Singapore. My pronouns are him, he, his.
I guess it doesn't make sense for us to jump straight in, but like, when did you come here to America?
So I came to America for college. So that was like 7 years ago in August 2015. I went to Houston, Texas.
Okay, so you've been here for a while. Yeah.
But I think home is kind of, where you are at the moment. And my parents moved from India to Singapore.
Okay.
And Singapore is actually 80% ethnically Chinese. So it's not like when I was growing up, the people there really looked particularly like me.
Yeah.
So home has always been a very diffused concept, which makes it easy to pick a new home, but also challenging to call a place home for sure.
Right, for sure. That's like a very interesting kind of like way to think about it, because I actually resonate with that a little bit. But like, I'm sure for you, belonging is something that is so fluid, it seems like. Because, yeah, since your parents are immigrated to Singapore,
Yeah.
but you grew up in Singapore, I assume went to elementary school there?
Yeah, went to elementary school and everything in Singapore. But my extended family, like grandparents and cousins, are in India. So growing up, we would go to India once a year as well.
Okay, so you are quite like a traveler, like you go back and forth
A little
to
bit.
different countries. Okay. So I guess that answers the question about home then. Like, it is like a constantly changing.
Yeah. How about for you? Where is home now?
Oh, gosh.
That's a conversation.
Is identity, your identity, however you identify, something that you find yourself constantly having to navigate or assert? And this requires me to kind of like ask you, like, if you feel strongly about your national identity or like your racial identity, and if it's like a big part of your self living here in America.
So, I've never looked at racial or cultural identity as a huge part of my identity. I mean, it's a really cool part, right?
Right.
Like, I love when Hindi music plays, or if I hear, like, you know, the tone that you were talking with, like your bahasa coming in a little bit. That was really nice to hear.
Okay.
And that makes me happy. But it's not ever been like a really big part of me.
Yeah.
So I do seek out experiences like that. Like there's a Gurdwara 3 or 4 miles from here. That's a prayer place for Sikh people.
Where? Did you say here in Madison?
Yeah, in Madison, like 4 miles, you know, in Middleton.
Okay.
So the Sikh people, so those are the folks who wear turbans usually. So I go there because that's one of the religious cultural things that I grew up in, that my family follows, and so that's really nice. So you do seek, I think, or at least I do seek a part of those identities. I don't think I've ever had to, like, you know, you said assert your identity.
Right.
That does not ring a bell for me. Do you have an example?
I guess this is maybe because it's like I understand why it isn't like a primary part of you that you always have to like navigate, because it does seem like you're more of like, what's the word for like somebody who has like multiple, like, not say, I don't know if this is how you interpret yourself, but it seems like you have like multiple like heritages, like places that you could trace your roots from.
Yeah.
So it's not just Singapore, but also India, and then you also lived like 7 years in America. So it's like there's no one place or one identity that you identify with, because you have like multiple lived experiences in multiple places. So I guess it does make sense that you don't have one identity that you restrict yourself to. Which is amazing, because a lot of other international students that I've interviewed in the past recording sessions, because they come from one place and lived and were born and raised in one country for most of their life, that becomes like an ingrained part of themselves. And because a strong part, like a lot of their cultural aspects about themselves are very much visible and kind of like something that shows through garments and like skin color and like facial features. Those have become like a part of their kind of like daily life navigations, kind of through like a very like white space like America, where a lot of people here or like the local community don't quite, I don't know, like have to put in some work to kind of like understand them or like bridge the like the cultural understanding that they don't quite have of people from different countries. So which is why I put this question in the list, because to many international students this is something that they struggle with, that they constantly have to kind of like assert their identity to be understood or to be included. But most of the time, by asserting your identity, it could be also a risk of exclusion or like discrimination. So that's kind of like a reason why we put this question in the list. But now that I understand that like it doesn't affect everybody the same way, so we were kind of just like curious how you see yourself through your identity and how it has shaped you here. because it's very interesting that so far everybody here who has come and answered this question answered it differently.
Yeah.
So it's really great to kind of like hear that identity isn't something that you have to navigate daily. And yeah, if you want to add on to that, like based on like what I said, that does it make sense to you?
No, I think that makes sense. I think my answer holds. I mean, there are a lot of big words in that question.
Right.
I have a weakness with big words.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, it's like we want to ask so many things, and I'm not the best at framing questions. Kind of like making it concise and kind of like simple.
That's a good question. I think I just identity is a big word because it takes my identity comes from different places, right? And there's also like the growing up in like Singapore and whatever, and then Singapore's like majority Chinese, but they're not like China Chinese, right? They're Singapore Chinese, which is different. So yeah, I've never been one to really put my identity out, but I usually find the part of my identity that matches most closely with the group I'm in, or is most appropriate for the situation, and I will play that one.
For sure. And I'm assuming you spend a lot of time in like academic spaces, and in these academic spaces, identity somehow becomes something that kind of like disappears in the background because it is not the focus of that space.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're allowed to kind of like look at each other kind of like equally and on equal grounds, and
that is the hope. Yes.
Yeah. So that's something that works for you, and like you find like, how do I say, like you find not peace in that, like you find comfort in that kind of like environment.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, even academic spaces have their identities and their identity norm.
Right.
Like a lot of, I think the field that I work in is in the Midwest, and so a lot of the people are from the Midwest, and so I would still think that the Midwest identities and norms dominate.
Right.
But it's definitely a place where people are open to the ideas that you have to bring.
Right, for sure. And you feel like your ideas are welcomed and being engaged with.
Yeah.
So that's great to hear. Now that you're kind of like hinting towards like you being immersed in like American and Midwest culture, I'm kind of curious about, there's this one question that's related to that.
I think, there are very few things that are uniquely American. Apparently musicals are one of them.
Ah, okay. What's your favorite musical?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't a fan of musicals.
Okay.
But I have a friend who's really into musicals.
Okay.
So I've been exposed to a few more and found them interesting.
All right.
I really enjoyed The Greatest Showman.
Okay.
Although I was told that that's not a good musical.
I don't watch musicals, so I don't know a lot.
Okay.
But
it's a movie as well.
Right.
It's really cool.
Is it the one Zendaya was in?
I don't remember names.
Okay, that's alright.
But Jack Hugo, something like that.
Okay.
I think.
I don't know a lot about pop culture, but
I've really enjoyed country music.
Okay. Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that makes sense. You country music. Do you go and watch like live performances, or you enjoy the music by going to bars that specialize in country music?
So mostly just when country music plays, I enjoy it.
Okay.
So I actually had a few, like looking back in Singapore, like even 10 to 15 years ago, I had a few country songs on my phone, like Brooks and Dunn and stuff.
Okay.
And then when I came here, in Texas, country music's pretty big.
All right.
And so my roommate was really into country music, and he introduced me to a few more artists, and so then we would drive around Texas in his truck and listen to country music.
Okay.
And I've got all those songs on my phone now, and I listen to them pretty often. Haven't had a chance to go to too much live music.
Okay.
Like recently, COVID and whatever.
But you're one of the first few people here that I met who said that they like country music.
Country music is great. There's so many different types of country music. All the way
Right.
from the guy talking about his truck and his cow.
Yeah.
To like, like the older stuff or the more acoustic stuff where they're talking about life and like deep stuff.
Right. They're like so into life.
Do you like country music?
No. No, I don't.
Okay, you gotta listen to this guy called Don Williams. He's got more acoustic, softer stuff.
Okay.
And I think it's very nice.
I will give it a shot. I've tried before.
Who did you listen to?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't like look into any artists. I kind of just like walk around downtown Madison at night and pass through several bars, and they have country music playing. And I guess if the crowd's like really feeling it, I would just kind of like vibe to it. But most of the time, it's like not the vibe I'm looking for. Okay. Unfortunately.
What type of music do you like?
Pop, electro pop.
Like which artist?
Like Charlie XCX, if you've heard. Yeah, she's like a musician artist that does a lot of like electro pop and hyper pop.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
It's like
really
party
like
music.
upbeat party music,
Got it,
party
got
dance
it, okay.
music. So it's like it's. I wish my music taste is a bit broader than it is, because it is very narrow and just.
That's okay.
But like, I don't know, when people are dancing like in cowboy boots and cowboy hats, it just looks like it looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
it's something that it's an acquired taste maybe.
I don't understand the concept of acquired taste, but okay.
Yeah, I've tried, like I've like warmed up to a lot of like music genres that I used to hate, but now I'm like loving. So
Yeah.
I'll give country one last try.
Okay. Okay. And then other stuff about, like American culture that I've enjoyed. It's like in Wisconsin, like hunting is the thing. I'm not into hunting though, right?
Have you went on hunting trips?
No, I have not. But I've heard a lot of hunting stories.
Right.
And so now I feel like I kind of understand why people go hunting. It's not just animal cruelty,
Yeah.
It's their way of like interacting with nature and animals and sort of like, being one with the environment. I do have chickens though. I've got 3 chickens at home, like in my backyard.
Yeah.
They lay eggs.
So
that's part of
they have
Wisconsin.
like a tiny little coop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, the more farming culture here.
Right.
So yeah, definitely picked up on aspects of American culture and I quite enjoy them.
Okay. That's
Hopefully contributed a bit to it as well.
No, for sure. Like, these are things that not a lot of, because of the past international students we interviewed, they're all undergraduate students. So, because they're undergrad and they're like restricted to downtown and like the campus spaces, they don't quite leave downtown as often to kind of like go to like the countryside, visit farms, and go camping as much as, I'm assuming you have a lot more freedom to do that.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you do a lot of things that like are involved with like, not involved with, like you do a lot of things outside of downtown Madison.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's great that you shared it, because there could be like a lot of international students who are planning to come here, who are watching this. Hopefully our video kind of like ends up on their suggested recommended YouTube videos. Yeah, is there any last things you want to share, or if you have like anything you want to share to like the audience, if they're PhD students or international PhD students, any like advice or like things you want to tell and share?
Yeah, Madison I think is a great place to go to graduate school to work on a PhD. For an international student, it's like a unique, like instead of going to the East Coast and West Coast, this is a very different part of American culture. America is very different depending on which corner you're in.
Right.
And I enjoy my time here.
Okay, that's great to know. I'm glad you could share all of that with us. Thank you so much for being
You're
part
welcome.
of this.
My name is Yiting, and I'm from Beijing, China. I'm a senior right now and majoring in journalism and economics. So, what else? Oh, my pronouns. I use she, her, hers.
Okay.
I never drink cold water or ice water before I came to US.
Okay.
Like back in China, we normally drink boiled waters, and my mom.
Same.
Yeah, right. My mom always think like the tap waters is full of bacteria and some like dirty stuff, so we only drink boiled waters. But here, I started to drink tap waters and ice waters, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Right. It's like I used to like doubt if the tap water is clean. Everything I drink back home is boiled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do notice that difference as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I was a freshman, I participated in student organization. So I was there every week and worked for like 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And everyone working in an open space, so like the atmosphere is quite casual.
Right.
And we usually chatting or like talking and while working. But like, actually that was the first few months I came to US.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to understand some of the slang they use or some of like the culture jokes they make.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to participate in their conversations. I just sit there silently and embarrassedly and watch them to see is there anything I can join them and to talk with them. But sadly, no.
Okay.
And also, they didn't like invite me to their conversation as well. So I just sit there for about 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's really a long time.
But those are the people who you work with.
Yeah, like because I can totally understand, because like it's not anyone's responsibility to let somebody to get involved, right? Like, but it's like it did make me feel a little bit sad, like because I'm just sit there so
right. It's your
embarrassed,
first year, and like it's coming here to study and like leaving your family and like being in a totally new space and not feeling included is very tough.
Yeah,
I felt the same way too when I came. Did that change over time? Did you feel included?
And although like that experience is maybe not like happy to me, I did learn a lot from that. Like I know like when someone who has difficulties to get involved, I can know like how to help them, like to join the group, to join the conversation, something like that. So I did learn a lot from like this experience.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. The light turns off automatically. So there you go.
I see. Yeah.
That's very rude. They should know that we're in here.
I would say there's a lot of advantage to be an international student. The first, which is like the most important one, I would say it is like I can see the whole world instead of just like a small place. So here I can learn from people who from a totally different culture, who may have totally different perspective from me, and I can learn from them and to know how to be critical to the things I used to believe. And so I really learned a lot, and I feel like that helped me to build my critical thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. This has been a common answer among a lot of the international students.
Yeah, that's because that's true.
This question too. Yeah. America, despite being quite a interesting country, it's a very interesting country. It's still like at least through academic institutions and then like getting to know like organizations in America that works for human rights and like supporting minority groups. I feel like we learn a lot of like tools, knowledge, and vocabulary on like how to like navigate these discourses a lot better.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So for every years, we I celebrate the traditional Chinese festival with my friend.
Okay.
For example, like the spring festivals. Like we usually cook together and have a large dinner, and to watch like the traditional TV shows, something like that.
With your group of friends?
Yeah, my friends and my roommate.
Okay.
Yeah. And also like during the Dragon Ball festivals, we'll eat 粽子. You know 粽子?
No.
Actually, it's like sticky rice wrapped it by large leaves, and it tastes really good.
How do you spell it?
粽子, Z-O-N-G.
Z-O-N-G.
Yeah, Z-I.
啊
粽子, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Do you make them yourself?
Of course not. It's too hard for me.
Oh, so you can get them here.
Yeah, like there's a lot in the Asian market,
Oh.
so we can easily buy it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I will look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I would definitely say the food in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I know there are like a lot of Chinese restaurants on the State Street or in Madison, but to be honest, first, like the material they use are quite different from like the authentic Chinese food.
Right.
Because like they need to adapt to the U.S. customers' taste.
Right.
And second,
Are you referring to the spice level?
yeah, that's true. You know,
Yeah.
it's not spicy at all. Like
Yeah.
I always told the how to say like the cook word,
Yeah.
something like that. Like to add more extra spicy, but it's not spicy at all.
Oh my god, yeah.
And also like actually I'm from north part of China.
Okay.
And most of the Chinese restaurants, they serve the source part of Chinese cuisine, which is different from what I usually eat.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I really miss my hometown
Of
food.
course, yeah. Just to, because out of curiosity, what's your favorite Chinese restaurant here? Asian
There's
restaurant?
one called Taste of Sichuan.
Oh, that's your
You know
favorite?
that?
Yeah, I go there often.
And I also really like Taiwan Little Eat a lot. My favorite dishes there is the braised pork over rice.
Same! I love it. It's so the rice is so
Yeah,
soft.
yeah.
The meat is so soft. It's very flavorful.
Yeah,
It's
I really
excellent.
like it.
Have you tried role play?
Once I will say, like I
Yeah.
tried the pancake they made.
Oh, I've never tried that. How was it?
It's a little bit small for me.
No, yeah. They gotta make these like Asian cuisine dishes bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a pretty good place because it's like Southeast Asian street food. Not just Southeast Asian. It's like literally the whole of Asia. Asian street food, and they have
Yeah.
like food from Hong Kong, food from Singapore. The Singaporean Chinese, not Singaporean Hainanese rice.
Oh, I know
Chicken
that.
rice,
Like
yeah.
the chicken rice. Yeah.
Really good. And I don't know if I mentioned I'm from Malaysia.
Oh.
So I'm also an international student.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I've
Which
been
is
to
why.
Malaysia.
Oh, you've how did you like
I
it?
really like the food there.
Yes, the food is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss about my home as well.
Yeah, I see.
So I feel you on many levels. I'm working on making the UW campus a lot less white.
Yeah.
A lot more like, in tune with like the differences in background, culture, and experiences. So thank you so much for sharing.
Really appreciate it.